Thanks for joining us for this short video brought to you by the Organizational Development and Learning team here at UH. In critical times, sharing of information is crucial to keeping everyone aligned and moving in the same direction. One of the ways we facilitate the sharing of information is meetings. In this short video, we're going to give you 4 quick tips to help you lead an effective meeting. To ensure you're getting the most out of your next in-person or virtual meeting, we're going to share these 4 quick tips with you. Number 1, communicate an agenda in advance. Number 2, establish expectations. Number 3, think like a doctor. And number 4, make a plan to stay on track. Let's go through these together. How many times have you been invited to a meeting and you're not sure exactly what's being covered? And during that meeting, you may have been asked to provide key details or information only to discover that you didn't have the info at your fingertips. Meetings serve 3 functions. They help us share information, they gather input from others, and make decisions. Before your next meeting, spend some time creating and sending out an agenda. This serves 3 functions. It allows participants to prepare to participate. If the goal is to share information and seek input, having the most accurate and up-to-date information is important. Participants can have that information ready to share with the group in order to make decisions or formulate a path forward. Be sure to assign times for each agenda item. By doing this, you will see what you will have time to cover during the scheduled meeting time. It also allows you in the meeting to stay on track by using this as your guide. When creating your agenda, prioritize the urgent and important topics at the top, followed by the items that are important but not yet urgent. By doing this, you ensure that should things not go as planned, or you run out of time, or underestimate the amount of time each item will take, the most important items get covered. Let's talk about what happens during the meeting. At the beginning of the meeting, take a couple of minutes to establish expectations for the meeting. You can do this by setting clear goals for each agenda item. What do you want to do with each agenda item? Let people know if you're just wanting to share information, if you're seeking their input, or if you'd like to make a decision on a course of action. This will tell your participants how to participate and will minimize unnecessary conversation and discussion. Be sure to highlight how much time you have devoted to each item. Next, check each agenda item off as you go. By checking off each item, you will do 2 things. You show progress and bring completion to that item, which helps people move on to the next item. And second, checking it off gives everyone a sense of accomplishment and unity. It will also help you as a facilitator quickly see what items you have left to cover against the time that you have left in the meeting in order to adapt if needed. Our next step is think like a doctor or physician. As you work through the agenda items, it's important that you think like a physician. When you meet with your physician, they do 3 things during that meeting. The first thing they do is guide the discussion. Physicians are scheduled back-to-back with patients and as such need to get as much information as possible in order to prescribe a treatment or guidance quickly. To do this, they guide the conversation. This doesn't mean that they do all the talking, but they make sure the discussion continues to stay relevant and that all information makes it into one conversation. They do this by using questions to add information to the conversation. The patient has all the information they need to suggest treatment, but they have to ensure that the information is shared. Just like in a meeting, all of the information is in the room, but as the person leading the discussion, you must ask good questions to bring this information out. Some people will feel more comfortable sharing than others, so it's important to include everyone in the discussion. As the leader, you should also adapt discussions on information shared. As information is being shared, it may be necessary for you to ask follow-up questions or make suggestions based on the previous experience. Just like a physician might be initially considering the diagnosis, they adapt the conversation based on the information shared so it expands their thinking. This helps move past their own biases to get to accurate and factual information. And our last tip is make a plan to stay on track. Making a plan to stay on track will give you the best chance of accomplishing everything you had planned to cover during your meeting. This plan includes: make sure you use your tools, including a parking lot, an action log, and a way to keep time. For people not familiar with a parking lot, this is a notebook, piece of paper, or flip chart that allows you to take questions or items that are important but not relevant to the topic and place them to discuss or answer later. This could be via email follow-up, agenda items for another meeting, or at the end of your current meeting if time allows. Another tool is the action log. As discussion happens, you may have people that commit to do things or provide information after the meeting, and this is a great place to keep track of those things so you can send them out after the meeting is finished. This ensures that nothing gets missed and there's a shared commitment to action. And of course, a way to keep time. This will help you manage your time and so that you're a good steward with the time that you've allotted for each item. To help you focus on the discussion, you should also make sure to give others roles. These roles include a timekeeper to watch the time and interject when time is coming close for each item and to help begin and end on time. The next roles would be a note taker. This person should capture all relevant information to share after the meeting. When a lot of discussion is taking place, and especially in critical times, there's a greater chance for misunderstanding. The role of the notes taker helps to be a source of truth and clarity to minimize that misunderstanding. And lastly, there is the parking lot manager. The note taker could also serve in this role. This person makes sure that the parking lot items are captured and followed up on. With these roles and tools we've discussed, it's important that you start the meeting by communicating the process with the participants. When communicating the process, make sure you share the time allotted for each topic, who will be the timekeeper, the use of the parking lot, and how you will intervene if the group gets off topic. Now that you have all 4 tips, I want to share one final thing: some tips for virtual meetings. Test the technology ahead of time. This applies not to just the host, but to all participants. The first 15 minutes of the meeting could easily be eaten up with technology issues if those things aren't sorted out ahead of time. Second, use the same tools and roles as if it were an in-person meeting. Still have a note taker, parking lot manager, and timekeeper. Number 3, for bigger groups, utilize the chat to ensure that all voices can be heard. Frequently in virtual meetings, everyone starts talking at one time and everyone stops talking at one time. Without the visual cues in the room to see who's sharing, this makes things difficult. The use of the chat will allow for everyone to share, will minimize disruption, and gives clarity to the communication because it can be read by all. In addition, it makes things easy for the note taker. Number 4, use video. This keeps engagement high for the meeting and keeps multitasking to a minimum. Ask people to sit closer to the camera so expressions are seen by all. And lastly, start on time. Waiting for everyone to get signed on enables others to be late by setting the precedent. Plus, it minimizes side conversations that start while people are talking and makes it tough to get people focused when you're ready to begin. And it ensures you can use the time you've scheduled for the meeting on the agenda items that you've scheduled. Thank you so much for joining us today for Leading During a Crisis, Leading an Effective Meeting. As always, the Organizational Development Learning Team is here to support you. For additional resources, please check out the UHLI page on the Digital Workplace, which is under Human Resources. Take care. Thank you so much.